What are your thoughts on AI? Let's tackle it from two different perspectives. One from the
Okay.
creative side,
Yep.
using it to create the art, and then also from the business side, having it help your business grow.
Well, from the business side, I was actually looking over the notes because you sent me a link for this podcast and you're like, here's the answers that you gave. And I was reading through them and I noticed that my AI said, or you could do the Saviors River one that saves him time. And I'm like, well, I should have copied that part out. I was like, whoops. So I definitely use AI in the business side because, I mean, Anthony, this has been a great time. This is not the only podcast I've ever done. Okay. So, obviously I've done more than one and I'm answering the same questions over and over again. And I could spend my time writing them out. Or what I did is I spent my time training an AI. I call it a familiar, and I sell a program for $300 that teaches you how to create an AI familiar, which is a clone of you. You upload it with only your knowledge, the way that you talk, the way that you speak, things that you're an expert in, and then I can ask it questions and it responds as me. Well, now I'm saving myself a ton of time. So when I'm doing this, so for business, freaking beautiful. It's a love it. Now, as far as art goes, again, let's jump in the Wayback Machine before there was AI, before there was any of this fun stuff. And I want you to think about driving around because I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I'm a very observant individual. I love to go to stores, I love to read my comic books and all that kind of stuff. And I remember like back in the 80s and 90s, I was driving around and I passed a plumbing company van. And on the side of it was Superman. And the only thing that they changed was instead of an S, it was like a P for plumber. But it was like a blatant ripoff of Superman. I'm like,
Superman, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm like, I bet they did not pay DC for the opportunity to use that. They did not. Okay. What they did is they found somebody who was willing to change it. And so they stole it and they're using stolen IP. All right. That guy would never pay for that. Okay. Ever. All right. So no matter how upset you would be with somebody who's using AI to generate art, and you can call it art, you can say it's not art, whatever, but the people who are using that in their business will never hire you. Won't. Period. End of story. Quit being upset about it. Now, but they're scraping my work. They're using artists' work to train these models. Yeah, absolutely. 100% they are. The only way to protect yourself from that is to never put your stuff on the web. But the downside to that is that how do you advertise to find your 100 people all over the world if you don't put your stuff out on the web? This is the price you pay for visibility. But let me ease the pain here with a story. This is one of my favorite stories to tell when I'm talking about trademark and copyright. I used to work Comic-Cons a lot. Okay. And so I was sitting in this Comic-Con once and there was the guy who actually drew Spider-Man for Marvel. He was there, like actually, and he's drawn up and he's got a lot of signed art that he's doing custom stuff, beautiful stuff. And he's charging about $900 for a custom Spider-Man drawing. Next to him, literally right next to him, is a guy, a fan, just an artist, who also was selling, amongst other things, Spider-Man art. And he's selling it for $9 just for a print. So I see this little kid walk up with his mom, and kid obviously loves Spider-Man because he's like, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. And so they go up to the guy who makes Spider-Man and they're like, my son loves Spider-Man. And I was wondering, can we get your autograph? And he's like, yeah, I've got these autograph pieces. They're $900. And the mom's like, I'm not giving my little kid a $900 drawing.
Yeah.
He will not value it. So they went to the booth next to it and bought the one for $9. Now the guy who works for them could have called up Marvel and said, hey, we got this guy who's stealing our IP. Bring the lawyers, shut him down. And you could do that, but then you'd be seen as an asshole. Okay. And what happens is then that kid sees this guy who is destroying somebody else's livelihood. And he's like, I don't like Spider-Man no more. Spider-Man's not a good guy anymore. Instead, they let him alone. And they're like, let that kid buy it. Because eventually that kid's going to be such a fan that eventually he will buy from the guy who charges $900. And it's the same thing with AI art. It's the same thing with putting your work out there that eventually those people who are stealing it or whatever, they're not your clients. But eventually somebody's going to like the style enough that they're going to search out the source. And the only way they're going to find the source is if you put it online, if you put it out there. But let me tell you, I'm not, I can look up, I can do something in the style of ... for an image. Okay, cool. And yeah, sure. I'm not going to put it on my book cover. I'm not going to do anything like that. But what I'm going to do is I know that style. I'm going to go search out an artist who can do that style. But I have worked with enough clients, thousands of people who are like, I have this idea. I'm like, can you explain it to me? No. Well, why not? I'm just not a visual person. You got to show me and then I'll know when I see it. That's a waste of my time. But if they could go in and say, this is kind of what I'm after in AI, and say, here's some examples of the things that I like, but I want you, Paul Pape, to do it in your style, even though I've copied your style from AI, I'm like, thank you. You just gave me a roadmap and you saved us hours of work. So AI is a tool. It's a hammer. Okay. Yeah, we could use rocks to drive nails, but a hammer is going to be a little bit more precise. It's going to make it easier. It is not an exchange for a human. Okay. It's just not. Don't believe me, look at it. Find the six-figured people, find the people whose heads on backwards. It's like, it's all out there. It's not there. Will it be eventually? Sure. But it will be its own classification of art.
Yes.
Now, for everybody who's out there, I work with a lot of speakers, a lot of trainers, a lot of coaches and stuff. And they're like, oh, I just came out with my 6th book this year. I'm like, so AI wrote your book? They're like, well, yeah, it's a great tool. And I'm like, no. Did you know that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that if a human being does not write more than 80%, it's between 65 and 80% of your book, it is not copyrightable. So when they go out there and do that, I go, cool, I'm going to take your book and I'll put my name on it. And like, you can't do that. It's my book. I'm like, no, it's not. You don't own this.
Not. Yeah.
So, thanks. Spend the time to do the work.